How's everyone doing? We're just gonna do a couple of splices here. Basically one cable splice showing how simple it is to do a splice for a CI cable. Simple tools, a linesman, stripper, crimper combination. You could obviously use a better crimper than this, but this is what I had laying around. Something to score the cable so it's easily spliceable, and you could take the jacket off. Couple of the non-insulated butt connectors from 3M. These are all on our parts list that we ship with the product and also downloadable from our website. The siliconized tape, that is the first layer. Second layer, and fiberglass tape. Scissors, any kind of scissor just to cut it through. Well, let's start. Let's say these are the two ends of the cable in a box. It'll be slightly more difficult to do it in the field, but it's pretty much the same idea. So we're just gonna take this, I have this tool from a networking kit for splicing. Score it not all the way through so you don't harm the conductors. Kind of break it apart, twist a little bit, comes right out. Okay, we'll do the other one. Same fashion. Some people prefer to use a knife on this. I kind of don't like that because there's an opportunity or possibility that you may cut your fingers. So it's an easier way to do it. Everything is perfect. There's plenty of airspace between the actual conductors and the jacket not to be scored. Okay. Just gonna take a cable stripper, use the appropriate gauge. This is an 18 gauge. I'm gonna set that up very easily. Strip a little bit off. It's a little too long, you could always trim it. Need about 1/2 inch. Kind of peel the fiberglass back a little bit. Straighten it out. I happen to fold it when I cut it, that's why it's a little bit rounded on the corners. Alright, so we have our basic setup. We have one cable here and one cable here, right? We have our tapes. We have our two butt connectors. Okay, put this tool away. Scissor is gonna be handy. Alright, so we're gonna go black to black and red to red. Get it about halfway in. There's a little stop in the middle of the butt connector that will not allow you to go all the way through. Crimp it. Let's just crimp the other one for simplicity. You could do one at a time or crimp. Okay. We're just going to continue and put the other sides in. I just trimmed it, it was a little long. Sorry about that. And finally, join our two black ones together. Alright, so now they're all crimped. Basically we have our cable to cable connection, red to red and black to black. And we start with the taping. We'll take some of the black silicone tape. Should have roughly 50% overlap. So it's a 1-inch tape. I'm going to have a 1/2 inch overlap. So just start here and kind of like stretch it across. Doesn't really stick too much. It's mostly like it's just kind of tactile and it sits there. It's siliconized. Or we'll just kind of twist it into position. And now we're going to do the other side. Similar fashion. Okay. As you put it on, just kind of twist it and it will sit in its place. Alright, so we're all done with the silicone tape. Okay? Now the final layer is the fiberglass tape. You could do this one or two ways. You could just twist it around. I don't think I exposed enough of the conductor in order for me to take this all around, but you could also kind of cut it and layer it this way. Similar type of thing, roughly 50% of its outside dimension, and go a little bit past the point where the silicone ends. And just then very easily do the other side. The reason you need a scissor for this is because the fiberglass tape cannot be ripped by hand. It is very tough. It's actually fiberglass. When you cut it, you see the little strings come out of it. Same thing, roughly 50% overlap. Go to where the silicone tape ends. Go a little bit past that point. Twist it in position. Fully complete 2-hour rated splice. Now, let's talk about the situation we were talking about how do we kind of go up a riser. So let's just assume this is a riser and we had a device on one floor and we wanted to keep continuing up. The one way to do it is obviously to do a T-type of splice, right? How are we going to do that? In the same exact fashion, only on one of the cable ends, instead of putting one red and one black, we're going to do two of each, right? Doing that, I'm just going to expose the conductor here for a second. Make sure we got all this fiberglass material out of the way. Notice kind of I exposed a little more conductor than on the other set, and we're going to see why. Alright, in order to have a nice, really tight T-tap splice, we're going to recommend that the leads, prior to being inserted into the butt connector, that they're twisted together. Alright, so we expose more cable, we twist them nicely with a linesman, nice and tight, right? Now it's obviously a little long, so what we're going to do is trim it to size. And then finally tighten it up a little bit. That's going to fit in the butt connector very nicely. And same thing with the layering of the tape over. Now you're going to have a pigtail coming off of it. And obviously we're going to have to work together with the manufacturers of the area of refuge systems to make sure that their units will accept the T-tap splice, and they're going to have some kind of protection within the confines of the electronic circuit board for the unit that is under threat of fire or overheating to check out and turn itself off, or basically get off the network. Obviously, testing for power, if we have a pair that goes up and down, we would have an end-of-line relay that does power supervision, and also the network nodes, so basically the area of refuge intercoms themselves would stop transmitting. So we would see which one dropped out of the network, therefore also checking on the data pair. That's about it. Very simple splice. Take a couple of minutes per piece. Very rudimentary tools. Stripper crimper, something to score the cable. I use this network type of tool. But you could also use a knife, linesman for twisting, and if needed, I just like to use them. The butt connectors, these two tapes, possibly a scissor. Well, these two tools got to be replaced by a knife. And that's it. That's pretty much all you need to do a 2-hour fire rated splice.